Good morning, everyone. It is August 12th, 11 a.m. And today we have a very special guest. We have Mr. Dr. Chris Rainwater with us, and we're going to talk about construction updates really briefly and ASSP updates. But if you guys don't know Mr. Chris Rainwater, so much about him. I'm just so grateful to have him on my show because this man is filled with knowledge, lots of experience. But I'll let Mr. Chris Rainwater introduce himself to everybody. So tell us what you do, Chris.
Hey, good morning, Rocio. Thank you for having me. First of all, I really appreciate it. Rocio, I've been a safety professional for 40 years. Started with the United States Air Force way back when, and I tell you, I still hit the floor every morning, motivated, energized. The safety profession is so dynamic and has the ability to do so many great things. And so I'm just privileged, really honored to be a part of it. Uh, I have a wide variety of experience. I won't give you my resume, but most recently I retired as the Chief of Safety for the United States Army Corps of Engineers in the Los Angeles district, and decided to start my own firm called CorPro Safety to help contractors understand what they are expected to do on federal projects, but really to help all companies, whether it's Cal OSHA or Fed OSHA plans, because they really need that help. They really need that assistance. So I'm proud to just continue my efforts in the safety profession.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, can you give the audience a little background of the projects, the type, size of the projects that you worked on, and exactly what you do? Because sometimes, people
Mhm.
think about safety, they're just like, oh, it's just OSHA, but it's way more than just that.
So I have been privileged to manage about $5.2 billion in construction projects. So we're talking about very large projects, although they're not all large, 15 to $20 million projects, but the vast majority of them are $250 million or more, what we in the federal government call a mega project, what contractors typically refer to as a major project. And what that entails is ensuring that all of the safety requirements that are present, including those under the EM 385-1-1, are being complied with by contractors and subcontractors alike, and by the way, by the government as well, because they fall under those same regulations, to ensure at the end of the day that it's not about compliance at all. To ensure at the end of the day, it's about sending every single person home safely to their families. That I think we lose sight of that sometimes, Rocio, that it's not about the regulations, it's not about strict compliance, it's not about citations, it's not about fines, it's not about disciplinary actions, it's about sending people home to their families safe. We have reached a plateau in this country where we are essentially, since 2015, our numbers are not going down. They have stayed about the same since 2015. And we have got to get out of this plateau. And so that's one of the things I really look forward to discussing with you and your audience this morning, and kind of change the way we think as we go forward on how we get out of this plateau and how we resume the bringing the numbers down in this country.
100%. So what updates do we have today for construction?
There's several things going on, including in California, under the Cal OSHA standards. By far the biggest thing is the dramatic reduction in the PEL for lead from 10 micrograms per cubic meter down to 2. So the federal standard is 10, the state standard is 2. That is a dramatic change. But there are a lot of things in motion, and I will tell you that one of the biggest points of emphasis that I've seen is the renewed emphasis on ensuring that we are providing safety training and safety materials in the language that the employees understand. And that is something that we have traditionally struggled with in the entire nation, but especially in areas where we have a high Latino population, because we have the need to give them safety materials and training in Spanish, and unfortunately limited capabilities to do so. And so what's happening, what we're seeing is that while most demographics are experiencing some declines in the numbers of recordable injuries and God forbid, unfortunately, fatalities, in our Latino workforce, the numbers continue to go up year after year. And one of the reasons we believe is that they simply are not receiving the level of safety training, the level of orientation that they need. And in many sites, and unfortunately, as the Chief Compliance Officer for the Army Corps of Engineers, I've had to shut down work where I went and found that Latino workforces with limited understanding of English were being given only English training, only English materials, and they were relying on someone who isn't qualified to essentially just translate. And that doesn't meet the requirement at all. And so we're really not doing the job we're supposed to do when it comes to making sure that our Latino workforce is protected, just like our English-speaking workforce, and we need to do more on that. So I think that's an emerging point of emphasis that we all need to concentrate on a little bit more, especially given the numbers of Latino workers, Spanish-speaking workers in our workforce.
So does that mean that the employer, I mean, aside from, providing documentation that is in the preferred language or understandable language, is it also providing training in that language, or how is it measured?
Absolutely. If the employee understands Spanish, let's just use Spanish as the predominant example in Southern California, then everything that employee sees with regard to safety, whether it is training in hazard communications and the globally harmonized system, or confined space, or fall protection, or you name it, needs to be in Spanish. And it needs to be delivered by somebody who, by the way, speaks Spanish and is qualified to train on those topics. What we see is somebody who is marginally bilingual, or maybe fully bilingual, but has no training in safety. They're not a competent person. They're not a trainer. They are simply translating English materials literally over to Spanish, and then we're calling that training. We're calling that, we're saying that meets the standard. It doesn't meet the standard, and there's no assurance that there was any understanding of the training. So we've got to get better. We've got to get better at that. And in this day of AI, providing Spanish language materials is not difficult. It's not difficult, but somebody has to start there. Somebody has to do that.
Yeah, definitely AI has been a big help and should be utilized correctly. So we have a question here from Roberto Heredia. What is the standard?
So Roberto, thanks for the question. And I don't know that if you're asking for a specific citation, that I'd have to get back to you on. But the standard is that employees are trained in the language that they understand. And that is both the federal standard and the state standards. It's also the standard under the EN 385-1-1. So the language that they understand. So there are various levels, obviously, of understanding, right? And so sometimes we will ask an employee if they understand English or Spanish, for example, as their primary language. Do they read English or Spanish? When they're speaking, are they speaking in English or Spanish? You have to decide what they actually understand. Because sometimes, for example, for a Spanish-speaking employee, they will have a limited English vocabulary, but they will claim they understand English much better than they speak it. And so there are various levels. And so we have to kind of determine what is the primary language that they understand. And that makes the difference. That's where the standard is going to reside.
That's a great point, because I do see, what people assimilating themselves. I've noticed that people understand it better than speaking it.
Yeah.
And then also vice versa, there might be some employees who might not even know how to, read both English and Spanish.
Right, sí. Yo pienso que es muy importante que los americanos que puedan hablar en español, porque tenemos un problema grande que son solamente unas palabras. So what I just said was, I think it's really important that Americans can speak Spanish, especially in these contexts. But my biggest problem is I have a limited vocabulary. So I may be able to understand you, I may be able to read it, but then when I'm trying to express it myself in the spoken word, because I have a limited vocabulary, I probably won't be able to do that. And so we have to determine, where do I fall on that spectrum, right? Just like we have to determine where our Latino speaking employees fall on that spectrum. And if the gauge is very limited understanding of English to full understanding of English, and it's somewhere in here, we have to make a determination what language we should be training them in, and in what language their documents should be provided in. And most of the times, I'm just going to tell you, most of the times it's going to be Spanish, in my experience.
Yeah. Maria Rivera F7D says, great, right, great point.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate that. It doesn't do any good. Let me give you a for real world example. Walking a project site, a $450 million project site, 200 employees on this site, 35 different subcontractors, very complex site. And I walk up to a scissor lift, and there's a Latino employee on the scissor lift. You have to inspect scissor lifts before you use them. And it's a routine question. I will ask the employee for the inspection form, which has to be on the lift. And the employee doesn't understand what I'm asking because I asked it in English. And the contractor safety representative that's walking with me doesn't speak Spanish, so I will use my Spanish to ask for the inspection form. The employee will hand me the inspection form, and guess what? The inspection form is completely in English. All checked off, everything passed perfectly. And then when I asked the employee, how did you read this? How do you understand what you inspected? They're honest with me and they tell me they don't understand it. They just put the check marks where they put them every day, right? That's not an inspection, right? That employee safety is not assured at all. They did nothing but pencil whip an inspection form. We owe them more than that.
You're right. And I could relate to it. And I know oftentimes employees are trained to, just fill out this form, sign it, but they really don't know what they're signing. They just know they have to do it at the end of the day or, send it over. And that's a very great point. So regarding the scissor lift, is that something you said that needs to be inspected daily?
It does. It has to be inspected daily before use, as do so many other pieces of equipment. In fact, almost everything that you use on a project site requires an inspection before use, from hand and power tools to scissor lifts and aerial boom lifts. And think about it like this, Rocio. When we are talking about higher risk categories, you're going to make a confined space entry into a permit required confined space, or you're going into a trench, or you're going to be utilizing fall protection. The risk level is much higher. And when we think about the fact that we're not giving them the training that they need in the language they understand in high risk categories, we really are setting them up for failure, and we're setting ourselves up for failure as well. And this also includes the job hazard analysis, or on the federal side, we call it an activity hazard analysis, which is the document that they should be going over in their morning safety huddle that says, this is what we're doing today. And these are the hazards inherent in what we're doing today. And this is how we're going to keep you safe. These are our controls, right? If we are giving Spanish-speaking employees that last information right before they go to work, if we're giving that to them in a language they don't understand, and we're passing a form around and having them sign it, we are setting them and ourselves up for disaster. So we can do better.
And Maria commented, trenches are dangerous. Yes, trenches are very dangerous. You see, unfortunately, you do see, it comes out on the news, And I'm sure you have come across many times, this type of issue from people reaching out to you for help or
Yes.
training on it.
Yes, trenching and excavation continues to be one of 5 or 6 high hazard areas in construction that we are getting better at, Maria. Thank goodness, with regard to trenching, sloping, benching, all of the different protective systems, shoring that are in place, and people getting more and more accustomed to them and using them, and that's awesome. That's amazing. But when we get on the smaller scale of the project, small projects, smaller general contractors, smaller subcontractors, we then find that there is generally a lack of awareness about trenching and excavation safety that unfortunately still results in trench collapses and people being seriously injured or killed. And so we still have a lot of work to do, especially on the lower end, the smaller spectrum.
Yeah, 100%. Roberto asked, "What's the name of the document?" I think he's probably referring to the safety document. Let me see. Roberto, can you ask what specific document you're asking about? But yes, there's a lot of different things that go on. Is there any other construction update that you would like to update us with, Chris?
There's an interesting one, Rocio, and it's on PPE and the fit of PPE. I don't know how many times in 40 years I've been on a project site and I've come across a smaller frame person wearing, for example, a 3X safety vest, right? Because someone threw him a safety vest and it's way too big for him, or whatever it is, gloves that don't fit. It doesn't matter what it is. PPE has to fit. And it has to be appropriate to the person's size. PPE comes in sizes just like our clothes do. And you have to make sure, and this has become an actual point of emphasis on FedOSHA and on CalOSHA, which is that they are now starting to enforce PPE fit. And that makes sense because when the PPE doesn't fit correctly, it doesn't protect correctly, right? And people forget something that's pretty important, and that is this. All PPE falls under the ANSI standards. We're all familiar with the Z87, right? That's the ANSI standard for safety glasses. We all know it. Z89 for head protection. We got it. The ANSI standards are testing standards. These standards tell you at what point this PPE is going to be effective or ineffective. And one of those criteria is proper fit. So if you are using PPE that doesn't have a proper fit, you're actually defeating the ANSI standard under which it falls. So it's important to just take a moment, make sure you're not just throwing out random PPE and that you're actually sizing things correctly. And it is especially important when it comes to fall protection. If you're wearing a personal fall arrest system, a harness that does not fit correctly, it will not protect correctly. So that's an important point of emphasis going forward that a lot of people just don't think about.
Yeah, and then bringing up the woman too. I know women, making sure they have woman fitted PPE, especially because
Yes.
women are a lot smaller than men, and I know that's in the past. And I feel like a lot of companies have accommodated and are being a lot better at that.
As more and more women join the construction workforce, especially, right? Because let's be honest, that wasn't always the case. Construction was predominantly a male industry, right? If you were going into construction, you were a male. But more and more women have started joining the construction trades, and it's great to see them, and they are such a valuable source to the construction community. But let's not pretend that we're built the same. We're not. And so the PPE has to be specific to fit. That doesn't mean that there are two sets of PPE, one for male and one for female. But there certainly is not the case for many things. But where there is, such as fall protection, it needs to be utilized.
Yes. And then, is there anything else you'd like to update the audience with?
No, I think we can, as far as construction safety goes on, I think we can stop there for the updates for the moment and maybe move on to a little discussion about the ASSP.
Yes. And then just for the people that are listening, I am going to have Chris back as a repeated guest because he has so much knowledge. And I know you guys are always, eager to learn more about safety standards. And so you guys will see Chris back here on for more safety topics. But now we're going to jump on to ASSP Long Beach.
Yeah, so I'm wearing my ASSP pin this morning. It's such a great organization. Most of you know this. The American Society of Safety Professionals is the largest society of safety professionals in the world, and in fact includes members from around the globe. I was really, really pleased. In July, the Long Beach chapter host. We have a monthly education and networking session that is available to everybody in person and virtually. And in July, I was really pleased to speak on ethics. And we actually ran a little poll during the event, and we had members from almost every region, including international attendees. And that shows you the reach of ASSP. And I got to tell you, I am just thrilled that the Long Beach chapter. Let me share some information with you about it. The Long Beach chapter of the ASSP, in scope size, the size of the chapter, we are 85 out of 135 chapters worldwide. So we are on the lower end because we're just the city of Long Beach, right? We are a smaller chapter. But when it comes to our activity, what we offer, we are number 5 in the world.
Wow.
That tells you something about how active the Long Beach chapter is with our monthly education networking sessions, with our awards and honors program, with our grants and scholarships, with our LinkedIn presence. And the reason it is that way, Rocio, is we absolutely believe that we need to give back to the safety profession. We are here, ASSP is here to support safety professionals, to advance the safety profession. For what reason? For what reason? To bring those numbers that I spoke of earlier down, to break this plateau. Let's get to zero. Let's get to zero. Let's at least aim for zero. Some people say we'll never make zero. We'll never have zero injuries. We'll never have zero fatalities. Let's aim for zero. And ASSP advances us in that direction. And that's why it's so important that we support it and participate in it and use its resources. And I am thrilled to be a past president of the Long Beach chapter. I'm now the assistant regional vice president for Region 1, which is Alaska, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, California. And I'm also especially proud to serve as the chair of the editorial review board for the Professional Safety Journal, the peer review journal for the ASSP. So I'm deeply involved in ASSP, love it, and just encourage people to join the Long Beach chapter. If you're a member of another chapter, you can join as many chapters as you want. Go onto your membership page, go to Long Beach, you become a member. Let us just share in our success, and let us give back to you and help you as well. It's just so important to me.
100%. And then for the people that might not know or have ever heard of ASSP, aside from education, what else? I mean, if someone's looking to, maybe a new safety person is saying like, hey, what association should I join? Why ASSP Long Beach?
Well, first of all, you're going to get mentoring that you just aren't going to find anywhere else. There are so many professionals, not just the members of what we call the executive committee, which is the governing body for the chapter, but just our membership in general, that want to walk aside you in your career and help you. They will mentor you. They will serve as a resource. They will answer questions. They will help and guide you. They will point you in the right direction. And especially for young safety professionals, that is so important. that we're all there for one another. We are working together to advance the safety profession. So it's a great resource for safety professionals, young and old, right? Because even those of us who've been around a couple of years like me, um, we don't know everything. There's always more to learn. There's always new perspectives. And, sometimes some of these younger safety professionals bring in an idea or a suggestion that you scratch your head and say, why didn't I think of that? And everybody has value to bring. And when you join an organization like ASSP in the Long Beach chapter, you add to the value and you also derive value. So I think it's a wonderful setup.
And then, do we have any upcoming events for ASSP?
We do. So next Thursday, we have the monthly education and networking session. And so that is hosted in person by our partners at Cal State Dominguez Hills. We thank them. We especially are grateful to Raul Guzman, who is the director there. They are just wonderful partners for the Long Beach chapter. We appreciate them so much. But we have that event, and all you have to do is go to the ASSP Long Beach website, and you'll see all of the events that we have coming up. You can register for the events. Attending is free virtually. Just register, and on the day of, log in and attend. And it's a great way to keep your professional education going, to get your continuing education units. We offer CEUs for every single session, every single one. So it's a great way to get your CEUs if you're trying to maintain a professional certification.
100%. And I've seen that. I mean, you're talking about mentoring. Firsthand have experienced that. And it's a great group. You guys are all very collaborative, very open, very communicative. And, you guys all have the one thing, always talk about the one topic, which is making sure everyone goes home safely,
Yes.
people first, and then, putting your association first, because you guys really do go above and beyond for every member in the association.
Yeah, we really think we really believe it's important. People are paying dues, whether it's your company's paying your dues annually or whether you're paying them yourself, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you're getting more than your money's worth. And I think that's really important. We don't exist as a chapter just to exist. We exist to give back. We exist to be a resource. And I want to make sure that we are the best resource possible. And I'll tell you, our current leadership team, President Kay Horton, Vice President is Krizia. They're doing a fantastic job. The term just started July 1st. They bring so much energy, so much power. Talking about women in construction and women in safety, there you go. Perfect example. For the second term in a row, the Long Beach chapter is led by a female president, a female vice president. They're fantastic, and we are so lucky to have them.
Yep, I could vouch that Kate is a force to she's has so much ideas, so much experience, knowledge, and passion.
Oh, she is just a ball of energy. She is amazing, and she supports the WWCCA, the Western Wall and Ceiling Contractors Association, which is a fantastic organization in and of itself. And I hope they understand how lucky they are to have her, because she's amazing.
She is definitely amazing. And another thing we want to bring to the light for any current ASSP Long Beach chapter members is that we're going to have, future events with the opportunity you guys would like to sponsor and have your company logo or your company name, or if you're just sponsoring as an individual, you could also have your name individual. But we want to definitely give the opportunity to our members and anybody watching and looking forward to supporting. I know we have, I've been I'm connected to many safety risk managers, and they all believe in the same thing, which is safety, training, and advocating for the people.
Rosia, thank you for bringing that up. ASSP Long Beach is a nonprofit. And so we're due supported, but we need sponsorships to help fund those really important programs like grants and scholarships and continuing education. the awards and honors program. And so if there are corporations out there that are looking to make small or large contributions and sponsor with us and get their name out there through us, we welcome them to contact us. They can contact me directly. I know they can contact you directly, and we would be really appreciative of their support. It takes that type of private partnership with nonprofits to make those nonprofits successful. And so we're always looking for that type of partnership, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, and then one thing we didn't talk about is that you guys give scholarships. You guys host your when is it that you guys do the scholarships?
Mm-hmm. So every May we issue grants and scholarships somewhere between $5,000 and $8,500, depending on what we have available in our sponsorships to support. So the more we get in sponsorships, the more we have to give in grants and scholarships for continuing education, for certifications, for classes at SUDH, for attendance at professional safety events, and just to grow the profession. So there are lots of opportunities there.
Absolutely. And, I'm looking forward to our events and, just really growing with you guys and talking more and bringing, safety awareness. Just like you said, we have to really focus on lowering down those statistics from, 2015, because I would have thought maybe it would have been a little lower because of technology, but, that's a little sad to know that our numbers are still the same as, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, the rates are essentially unchanged for both recordable injuries and for fatalities. So we have to think differently, right? We have to think differently. We have to step out of the paradigm that we've been in and realize that if we keep doing things the same way we've been doing them, we won't get better results. We won't get different results. And in fact, we could even start sliding backwards as people start to get a little bored with it. Like, same thing, same type of training, same PowerPoint presentation, same methods, same techniques. I've been there, done that, seen it all before. I'm kind of getting bored. Safety. We in the safety profession have a duty to make sure that we are reaching people effectively, and I think that that's extremely important that we be innovative and creative as we go forward.
100%. So, is there any key takeaways that you would like to give? And then, I didn't mention, but Mr. Rainwater has his own company, which he's a consultant. So any contractors who are looking for training or want to reach out to Chris, I'm going to make sure that his website is on there. And if you don't mind, is it okay if I share your email?
Absolutely. Happy to help anyone that needs that assistance. That's what we're here for.
Awesome. Was there anything else you would like to tell the audience?
Just Rosa, again, thank you for the invitation. And there's obviously no lack of material. We have so much to talk about, right? And so I was glad to be here this morning, but I really look forward to future visits and the opportunity to provide this outreach. So thank you again.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure to have you, Chris. And like I mentioned, I'm going to put his contact information in the comments on LinkedIn, along with his email. You guys can reach out to him directly. And I'm also going to link the page to ASSP Long Beach for those who are interested and might want to know. And then, of course, anyone who's interested in sponsoring, maybe even coming on and speaking, whatever it is, reach out to us. We are very open to different ideas and seeing how we could all collaborate.
Outstanding.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys in the next one. And thank you, everybody, and have a nice day.